get this show on the road. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Are there any announcements? Hearing any? John, who's with us electronically?
Mr. President, Britta Chambers with 3M is with
Okay,
us, and Tyler Conley, the agent for the 3M permit and variance requests.
okay. Hi, folks. Can you hear us?
Yep, sure can. Thank you.
Yep. Hi, everyone.
Okay, excellent. So we shall proceed. I want to add, before I approve the agenda, I want to add a item for the attorney, what is that, the Erickson permit?
Yep, Erickson permit. It's
Okay.
2022.
2022. Okay,
022-20.
okay. Anybody wishing to speak? Do we have anybody? Folks, most respectfully, why are you here?
Al Chen, I'm president, Friends of Long Lake.
Very good. We're going to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm just here to check it out.
Oh, excellent.
Yep,
All right. We hope you enjoy it.
thanks.
Link, always a pleasure to see you, sir.
Glad to be here. I'm here to participate and listen in on what's going on with Long Lake.
Nice. Okay. All right. With that said, let me move on to the consent calendar. Do any of the, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, forgive me. The approval of the agenda. I will make a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? Second. Then moved and seconded. Aye. Sorry. Aye. Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. The agenda is approved. Let's move on to, we've already talked about the public forum. The consent calendar. Do any of the managers have any items from the consent calendar that need to be removed? Yes, sir.
I would like to, pull D, L, and N,
D,
D,
L, and N.
N,
Correct.
as in, N as in,
M or N?
N as in Nancy. I don't have a lot to say. I just have a couple of comments or questions, so.
That's very good, sir. I think it's C and C. Okay. Right? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the other items?
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar except for items C, D, L, and N.
Yeah, I will second that motion. It's been moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 Aye. It is approved. Okay, let's move to item C. Rick?
I'm mainly looking for an explanation of how the $5,000 grant amount was calculated.
That's a very good question, sir.
It's St. Croix Montessori School.
Mr. President, managers, I guess I don't recall for sure the managers approved a $5,000 allotment earlier this year. I think it's based on 0.5 pounds of phosphorus. But then if it's only 0.5 pounds of phosphorus, then it would be 5,000.
Oops, right. Yeah, that was the question I was.
It is a community grant, so a community grants, the managers have a little bit more discretion.
Mhm. Okay. I know there was a septic system involved in the situation as well. You know, yeah, okay. I think we approved that earlier.
Yes, sir. You're right with that?
Mhm.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to move to approve the $5,000 community grant for St. Croix Montessori School, Septic Prairie and.
I will second that motion. It's been moved and seconded. Aye. Fine.
Aye.
It is approved. Let us move on to item D.
Sure. My question is this the one that we considered a couple months ago? We wanted more detail? It's not. Okay. Can I ask what the status of that one is? Just out of curiosity.
And, Manager Guerrero. Because we're nearing the end of the budget, completing the budget for this year. Washington Conservation District suggested that it not be approved in 2024, but instead be approved in 2025.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I will move approval of this Meadow Ridge Park Prairie Restoration Native Grant.
I'll second that motion.
Aye.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
That is approved. Item L. Comment on the Goose Lake treatment.
So I know we won't really know till next year how it's working, but that's, so my question is, on the payments, I'm just a little bit, there's probably something I'm missing, but the bid price is 207, and I received the Clean Waterfront grant for 150. So the difference between that is 57. But we're gonna pay 101.
Mr. President, Manager Guerrero, there's two treatments. So there was one this fall and there'll be another treatment in 2026.
Okay,
And the managers talked about the issue at meeting a couple months ago, whereas the cost of alum has gone up significantly. And so the
Right.
managers did approve, continue to go forward with the project and to make some revisions to the budget.
okay. So the 207 bid price is just for the first treatment,
Now, the 207 would be for both treatments.
for both treatments, okay. Okay,
Very good, sir.
with that, I'll go ahead and move payment for the Goose Lake Alum treatment, the 2024 application.
I will second that motion. So moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 That is approved. Item N. Or St. Clair Partnership Watershed Based Implementation.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been on the policy committee, so did they ever they were gonna hire an agricultural economist? Did they do that?
President, Manager Guerrero, that they did not hire an economist as far as I know, but they hired an ag educator.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was the original intent, but I'm not recalling it correctly.
They had
Okay.
one and then he resigned and then they just recently hired.
Okay. Otherwise, I think this looks great and it's pretty exciting to see this much energy. Just so the other managers know, the sunrise drainage was identified as a major contributor to all the loading in the lower St. Croix, so that's the focus there. But my only other question is and I don't know that this requires any action, but under number 14 on water quality, St. Croix River and streams, we don't have Valley Creek or Kell Creek listed for bacterial impairment. Is that yeah,
Mr. President, Manager Guerrero, Valley Creek and Kills Creek are shown in figure 2 and or figure 5-2 and table 5-2.
okay.
So they would be eligible under that. That was a amendment to the plan just earlier this year, so that Valley Branch would be eligible.
Okay.
I love
All right, I'll go ahead and move. Well, is this just information or do we need to approve it?
That was part of the consent calendar.
Okay, so I'll move approval of the Lower St. Croix Policy Committee Work Plan for 25-26.
I will second that motion. Moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 It is approved. The consent calendar is complete. All right. Let's move on to updates and requests from partners, volunteers, citizens advisory committee, CAC. Mr. Link, do you have anything by chance, sir?
I don't think so.
Okay, but if you just let me know. Thanks. No one else, and we'll be talking about these other items here shortly. Administrator engineer. Mr. Hanson. Variance request, 3M Oakdale disposal site. Fence.
President Andrews, including your packets, permit review memo company's proposal. 3M is working with the pollution control agency and other agencies to address the pollution from their site that's leading to some PFAS pollution downstream. And one of the first phases that they'd like to do, that they've been asked to do by the pollution control agency, is to put in perimeter fencing on the site. Because the fencing goes through wetlands, it does require a Valentine Watershed District permit. So they submitted a permit application and variance request. And that's included in the packet.
Yes, sir. So I'd like to start in by saying that I've read through this, and it is my opinion that that it should go through. I've looked over the questions that arise with what they're doing, and I welcome anything that the other managers want to say about this matter. If you want to go through the variance worksheet, we could do that. Sir.
President Marshall, I agree with you, but I believe we should go through the worksheet.
Okay.
Here, just to be consistent with what we've been doing on variance requests.
Very good. I think that's the right.
Before we go there, I got a couple of questions I'd like to ask.
Of course.
One of them is, shouldn't they be fencing the entire wetland area, the perimeter of the wetland, rather than going through it? I would imagine that the, PFAS are pretty much everywhere in the wetland. And are we really protecting people with this notion if what we're doing is going through the wetland rather than around it and, and setting up a perimeter? I know that it involves additional properties, but it seems like that would probably eliminate the need for a variance, but more importantly, it would be more effective in terms of, I believe, it would be more effective in terms of protecting people from the hazardous chemical. Thoughts or comments on that?
President Manager Gelman, I asked the same question of the agent for the permit today, and it sounds like the property owner has asked the adjacent properties if the fence could be put on their properties, so it goes on the perimeter of the wetland. It sounded like those property owners did not want the fence on their property. If a representative for the permit and variance request wants to correct me or give more details, I encourage them to do that.
Yeah. Hi, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, this is Tyler Conley. I can help respond to that question. As John mentioned, we did reach out to the adjacent landowners to see if they would be okay with us putting the fence north of the wetland area, and they indicated that they would not like to have the fence located on their property. And I guess to get to the point of the fence too, the reason they're installing the fence is to limit public access to the historic disposal site that's located on 3M property, which is located further west of the wetland area. So the fence will encompass the entire disposal area as it's currently shown.
And it will also restrict access to our property. So I mean the fence is laid out so that we do keep the fence to our property line. That is one of the other restrictions we're kind of going against. And as Tyler said, we did engage the neighboring property owner, and they declined to let us install the fence along the perimeter of the wetland.
And they were aware of the hazards involved in the water.
I believe so, yes.
I take it there's not gonna be any duck hunting either. Sorry.
Okay, well, it does not seem ideal to me. It seems like it's kind of missing the point to a great degree. I'm not sure what else we can do about that. The other,
I'm sorry, sir.
go ahead, if you have some
Yeah,
comment.
I just want to add something about that. Okay, with what they're doing there, to assume or to understand that the area that's not fenced in is, might have a level of contamination or a concern with the public utilizing it for any reason, recreational, whatever. I'm guessing that that nobody's touching it or nobody comes into contact with it or anything. So is that okay? Is it,
Well, didn't we have something come through, further downstream on Riley Creek where, we're looking at having people
right?
wear protective clothing if they're going to be in it. This water is what's going into Riley, I believe,
Raleigh, right?
or Raleigh, yeah. Why is that any different?
So
The hazard is still there.
right, so we're looking at the concern here is that the homeowners or the property owners have decided that they don't want that fence built, so
Yeah, it's,
our hands are
there's
tied,
two
it
things.
seems. Right?
Yeah.
But to add to that, everybody, and it'll be incumbent upon 3M to make sure that everybody's informed about the situation. Has that been addressed in any way, shape, or form? Or are you way ahead of me?
Sorry, can you say that one more time? Informed on the situation, as in informed that we'd be installing this fence?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
do you refer to informed as to the water quality?
What I have for you are the homeowners that did not give you permission to put the fence around their property. Are they aware of the situation, meaning the potential for contamination and the health risks involved? According to MPCA data.
Yeah, so I guess one point of clarification is it isn't homeowners that adjoin this section of our property. It's a commercial
Oh, okay.
shopping center. Yeah, so it's office, mostly office spaces, I think, and there's a gas station over there as well. But we've worked with this property owner in the past, and they are aware of our operations and the history behind this site, or at least the managers are that I've engaged with, and I know my colleagues have engaged with in the past.
And 3M, excuse me, is PCA has been involved in this process and is aware of this as the solution.
Yeah, so we have certain requirements that are expected of us being a Superfund site. The Superfund site is through EPA, but they've delegated a lot of the responsibility to MPCA. And as part of ongoing controls to limit exposure to environmental and perhaps public health concerns, we need to have what's called land use controls in place, which would be to limit exposure to these type of contaminants. And so, this is an obligation that we have as part of that regulation and that program, is that we follow the requirements of both the EPA and MPCA. And both agencies have been involved with not only the Abrush parcel, which is where this fence will be installed, but the Brockman site as well and the Eberle site as well. So they should be well aware of the requirements of the permit they issued us.
Is there any signage going up along the edge of the wetland?
That wasn't part of our plan, but I mean, we're certainly open to it if you would think it'd be, beneficial to the Valley Branch Watershed District.
Well, Rick, I think that's a great idea, and, what do you say, folks? We're not suggesting you put up big skull and crossbone signs or something. but,
Yeah.
Provide us with some signage that alerts anybody that's going to be near the area for any reason. Is that possible? Does that seem simple enough?
I think so. Yep.
That's very good. Thank you, Rick, for bringing that up.
Mr. President, managers, I also want to note that they are in the process of trying to get a permit from the DNR. Because these are public water wetlands, they need to get approval from the DNR. It's not clear if the DNR will approve the fence or not, even though it's a different state agency that is the PCA
Right.
request.
So this all falls through if the DNR says no.
Yeah, so the magenta or the kind of the pink line, I
Right.
think that's probably outside of the DNR's jurisdiction,
Yeah.
but the green line is within.
Very good. That's critical.
My other question has to do with frost heave on a fence like this. Putting the fence posts down, I see it wasn't clear to me whether the fence posts, if they're in the wetland, how deep below the surface is it, or is it below the bed of the wetland, the bottom of the wetland? I've seen where, frost heave ends up just pushing the fence up, after a few years, and it's pretty much worthless and is probably the concern of the surrounding landowners is how does it look? It's going to look pretty ugly, and it's not going to be effective. So do you have your engineering people, how deep are they going with this? I know that was in the report, but it struck me as being not overly clear as to whether or not it was the surface of the wetland or the bottom of the wetland.
Mr. President, Andrew Gelman, according to the figure included with permit submittal, it would be going 5 to 6 feet below the existing grade.
So, and the grade is the water level, right? Going through the wetland?
If the water level's at the bottom, no, it would be the way I understand it would be the bottom of the wetland. Whatever the
bottom of
grade
the
is, the ground.
Okay. Okay. That seems like that may be a little more substantial in terms of preventing the frost heave.
I think typically footings are that deep.
Mhm.
Gelman,
I'm satisfied with that.
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Before we move on with Mr. Brock's suggestion, do the managers have anything else to add or question regarding what Freeman proposes here? All right, then. And we'll go ahead and move on to the variance worksheet. Okay? Shall we? Mr. Brock, would you like to lead us?
Sure.
Okay.
Item 1, is there a unique physical condition of the land or water involved that may result in extraordinary and unnecessary hardship from strict compliance with Valley Branch Watershed District rules? And well, it's the wetland is the unique physical condition. So I would say that the answer to that is yes, in my opinion.
I agree.
Item 2, is the landowner's problem due to circumstances unique to the property, not caused by the landowner? I think the answer to that is certainly yes.
Yes.
Well, it would
Well,
I would,
they caused it.
long-term, I mean,
Well,
They
yeah,
caused
I mean, in the context of this project, of getting the Superfund
yeah,
project
yeah.
up and running and,
And, yeah, and I bring it up in part because we're using this as, a fairly new exercise. And this is a circumstance where the conditions, even though they are, when you go back to the source, are due to actions of 3M. Yet, as an end result, we're looking to have the best outcome as possible. And,
so we.
I'm
should we
not
add
sure how
comment?
that gets
We
included.
could add a comment on the comment line under that one. If you feel we should, just to relate that historic,
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
far historic situation.
yeah, that might be worthwhile, basically that it's, a Superfund site and therefore has special circumstances.
Okay. Counselor?
After that. Number 3, what effect would granting the requested variance have on the entire Valley Branch watershed district? Say very little on the
Yeah.
entire watershed.
Doesn't seem harmful. Well, beyond what's already established.
And or what effect would granting the request have on the Valley Branch watershed district plan? I mean, other than providing exception to our rules that we don't want to become routine.
Right.
I mean, this is a special circumstance, so.
It certainly is protecting your citizens.
Yes, without a doubt. That was my main point. I thought that it looked good to me. Number 5.
The landowner's proposed property use alter the essential character of the locality. And
Well, aesthetically, it's gonna be a fence in the middle of a wetland, right? But beyond that,
I would say yes, and then you could comment that it's part of a plan to protect the environment and public health. Would that be an
Which
appropriate comment?
There you
supersedes,
go.
yeah, which certainly supersedes.
Right.
how does that grab you, Counselor?
It's fine. What's most important to me is that the managers have reason rationale that they've thought through. That if it was questioned, you can say this is the reason and rationale.
Right.
It's your decision.
Who's writing this? Are you?
I'm taking notes.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Good.
Okay. Item 6, has the application submitted provided sufficient documentation regarding A, the exceptional conditions or peculiar difficulties claimed? I would say yes. Everyone
Yes.
agree?
I would agree with that.
The resulting impacts from approval of the variance. Say
Yes.
yes,
A restriction. They're essentially creating restriction.
right.
Seems simple enough.
So that's the end of the worksheet. Now it's decision time.
Okay,
Great.
so
Based upon the discussion in the variance worksheet, I'll make a motion that we approve the variance request.
I
I
would second
would,
that.
I would like to add an amendment there
Sure.
concerning
Yeah.
the signage.
Oh, yeah.
At the edges of the wetland.
And yes, and ask that that the owners include some sort of signage along the fence.
Along the wetland. So that rather than along the fence, but at the wetland edge.
Yeah, because we don't want
That,
folks
yeah, what we're
swimming
trying
up
to
to
do.
the fence and,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Go for a swim.
Yeah, certainly, yeah, I agree with that.
Just to clarify for myself and
Yeah.
also for the 3M folks on the line. What are we trying to warn of with the signage, or just so they,
But I assume that the fence itself has some warnings on it. And it
Right.
could be the same set of warnings. Can you confirm that, please?
3M, you're on.
Graham?
Yeah, I guess, first glance, I think we would definitely be saying if something effective, it's 3M property.
not enter, or
Yeah, I mean, we could draft something up, but I think something effective 3M property, private property.
If I may, I don't mean to interrupt you. Rick, what do you think about, no trespassing signs? Are they, sufficient, or do you think that we should add something?
I think people need to be aware of
Okay,
what the circumstance is.
right, it's not there's something that I thought of as
I think that,
public alarm.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if people are making decisions about what they're gonna do, if they're gonna go craping out there, no, that's only a no trespassing sign, nothing's going on here. I think for people to have full information, I think that adds to their decision-making ability and their own safety.
So, yeah,
I want to hear what others have to say. I mean,
I
I
agree with you
realize that
completely.
we don't want to cause a panic or
No,
anything, but
I
at the
guess
same
that's why I
time,
made this
I think we wanna-
comment.
yeah,
But the thing that I have is, okay, this has to be done pending the approval, or we approve it this evening, this variance, that 3M will follow through and provide us with something that meets our approval. Does that seem reasonable?
suppose. I suspect we're getting kind of borderline for what our authority is. But at the same time, we are charged with water quality. And
Yes,
this
sir.
is a water quality issue.
I totally agree with
So,
that.
yeah, I think if we have a chance to review what they're putting up and where, that would be useful.
Okay. John, they can contact you with their signage proposal or whatever they're going to do. And then pending that, we could, I don't know how we can look at this. They're planning on doing this in January and February, correct? So I don't know if we make a motion that we include this pending what they're going to provide us with, this approval.
President Marchand, managers, typically for these kind of things, it would, condition of the permit would be that the permit holder agrees to put perimeter signage, such, or the wording might be, as approved by, whether that's the board or as approved by the engineer or approved by the attorney. So I guess we can craft some language. I'm just curious, do you, as a board, want to approve what the signage says, or would you like to delegate that authority to me or to?
I'd be comfortable delegating.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you?
Sure.
Yeah,
Probably smooths the process and
we can trust you on
keeps
this one.
the decision-making in the hands of people that have detailed knowledge.
A big hazard is, never mind.
so I'll try to amend my motion. I'll
Sir,
approve the variance with the condition that there be signage provided, and that signage would be reviewed and approved by our engineer.
Yes, ma'am.
And John, tell me if you feel like you kind of have the direction that the managers are going, but I feel like, if I were 3M, I would want some very clear indication of what kind of signage, because what I'm hearing 3M saying is it's private property signage, right? Stay off, don't come in here because it's private property. And what I'm hearing Manager Geldman say is that's not really what he means, right? And so if it's going to be approved by Engineer Hansen, if I was in his shoes, are you wanting something that says there's hazardous material? Are you wanting something that there's some kind of danger to stay away from? Because you keep saying public protection and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I
Or
think
something
Potential
just,
health
Yeah.
risk.
or something just stay off the property? Is that sufficient?
No, I think if it says stay off 3M property, who is that protecting? It's protecting 3M.
Right.
And what I'm looking to do is protect people that might be in the area. And for that to be effective, I think it needs to be a little bit more. It's a, it may be a statement of, there may be PFAS contamination in this water. Stay out, or something fairly straightforward like that. Doesn't have to be, warning, hazards and the skull and crossbone type of thing, but it needs to give people a little more information of why they're being told not to go into that area. In addition to that, it's private property.
Okay. Folks, did you hear us?
Yes. Understood.
How does that
Yep.
sit with you? We come up with something?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll need some time to, I think we'll need some time to think about the signage, think about the verbiage. Obviously, we'll want to talk to our legal as well to make sure, as you said, we aren't causing alarm.
Yeah.
But, I think really, truly, the purpose of this fence is to, control access to this property. So we truly are trying to protect the public by doing this. And I do think this fence will be effective. It'll span the entire perimeter of the disposal site. There'll be several gates, but they'll be locked. I think fence will certainly be a good measure, if not an improvement to what's already there. If we feel signage is necessary, like I said, we're open to that and certainly willing to work with you. But I can't commit to verbiage at this time.
That's fine.
Understandable.
But we would certainly like you to work with our engineer to come up with something. And I think that shouldn't be a problem.
Yes.
Or-
Yep.
Here, you'll contact your legal department to make sure that there's no irregularities or whatever.
Yes. Yep.
Good?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so motion is on the table as it left.
Mr. Gelb, second. So moved and seconded. Aye. Aye.
Hi.
It is approved. Thank you, folks. Thank you for helping us and cooperating with us.
Mr. President, Manager,
Yes, sir.
the variance, you did not approve the permit.
Okay,
So with the
now we go to
permits,
the permit. Okay.
I did send an email this afternoon because with the permit, page 2 of the permit under the floodplain management section, it's a reminder that the managers do require drainage easements up to the 100-year flood elevations of wetlands and lowlands and everything. But the managers do have the authority to waive that condition. And back in 2009, the Watershed District issued a permit for the site, and the managers did impose that condition that there would be a drainage easement up to the 100-year flood elevation. When that permit came to be closed out in 2022, the managers discussed that need and chose to waive the need for easement over the wetlands. And I passed out the memo that lists the reasons why the managers did waive that requirement. And To summarize, it's because 3M owns the property and has no intention of selling it or developing in upcoming and is ongoing with environmental monitoring and cleanup, EPA and PCA. It's a Superfund site, and with the signature from the Pollution Control Agency, 3M has finalized and recorded a site-wide restrictive environmental covenant.
Okay, hearing that, I'll make a motion
Sir,
to approve permit 2024-45 and waive the easement requirement. Floodplain easement requirement.
Second.
so it moved in second.
Question of clarification, also with the managers want a surety on this project. Typically, the managers do not require surety if there's no stormwater management facility involved, and in this case, there's no stormwater management facility.
And I would say that we waive the requirement for surety also.
Thank you.
And I agree.
Thank you for making us aware of that. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. That's been squared away. So.
Aye.
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 It is approved. Now you folks can go home if you want.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You can stay and talk about zebra mussels with us. No? Okay. Thank you anyway.
Have a good evening.
Good evening. All right. That was squared away. Let's move on to Long Lake zebra mussels. This is another case, an important AIS situation that's developed. I don't know if these things are on the increase. Lee seems to agree with something, but we think this is very serious. I've done a little reading, some research, and we understand what this will lead to if it's not taken care of. I do like that these organisms provide tremendous filtration, but unfortunately, there's a downside. So, that said, the managers want to discuss anything. I have some ideas. Is there anything from any of the managers about how we go about dealing with this potential problem? Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, when I first read this, it was like, here we go all over again, because, you know, when and I'm not saying zebra mussels are a good thing, but they don't destroy all the ecosystems they get into. There's even some where they've improved water quality and have gotten good plant growth and stuff like that. And I'm not advocating that for zebra mussels at all. I'm just advocating for a balanced discussion in regards to the problem. And I'm also really sensitive to the fact that people get hysterical about something and they want to go ahead and throw a ton of money at it when it's got low odds of doing any good. So that's my usual statement and orientation when I'm faced with spending a lot of money on invasive species. That said, it does look like this treatment that they're proposing looks like there's been success elsewhere, so perhaps it's worth a try. If they wanted to go with potash or Equinox or whatever, we already know that hasn't worked. So maybe this copper product might work here as well. So also the other thing that we see happen is they increase the phenomenal abundance and then they decline. So the one lake I dealt with the most is Mille Lacs. So Mille Lacs zebra mussels have declined a lot. They're still there. They'll still always be there. They'll always change the ecosystem. And I believe the same thing happened in the St. Croix River as well. And I think when Byron Carnes with the Park Service, I think it was Byron was doing this research, he actually showed that common carp consuming zebra mussels and possibly resulting in some level of biocontrol.
their pharyngeal teeth, they were.
Probably, yeah. I don't know,
Wow.
like fresh trout or drum in some systems like Winnebago and Wisconsin, just eat the heck out of them. So anyways, you know, I guess I'm in support of trying this. It seems reasonable. The other caution that I have is eDNA work is very, very difficult to do technically. So if we're gonna fund that, we're gonna make sure we go to an accredited lab to do it. It's really easy to get cross contamination if you're not careful, so on and so forth, so. Yeah,
Okay,
that's my 2 cents.
that's very good. We appreciate that.
My,
Yes, sir.
If
Go ahead.
my concern, and I think that's where a lot of the concern of people is that with invasive, if you catch it early, you got much better chance of, dealing with it economically, at a lower cost than if it gets out of hand. And I'd be interested in your thoughts on that, John.
In regards to what, Rick? I'm sorry.
In regards to just, you want to catch it early, as I
Right,
think
sure.
about it. And if you don't catch it early, then the costs are way higher.
Right, yeah, no, that's true. I don't know how old this infestation is. If it was in here, I might have missed it.
The infestation, how new, do you folks have anything?
Sure.
Go right ahead.
This is Alan Judd, friends of Long Lake and the president of the association. Have lived on Long Lake for 20+ years now. This is the first first knowledge that we've had. The very first mussels were found about 3 weekends ago. We did a sediment test in the lake, which was part of the whole lake management plan, which we appreciate the association's support for everything we've been doing there, and our engineering has been great. So as we were doing that sediment test, that's where the assessor found a zebra mussel in the sediment on the north end of the lake, which is alive, yeah. Shallow water is the area closest to Mount Medei where we get carry-on traffic. That where it came from, who knows where they come from, right? But that's most likely.
A quick question, if I may. Yep, there is public access to Long Lake, yes, no?
Walk on, carry on,
Oh,
there is no boat ramp. So you can, canoe or kayaks.
30 people.
Yep, they've done it. They've done it.
We saw that on our tour, didn't we, that location?
Yeah.
Drove across the north end of it, yeah.
Yeah, so the north end of the lake or the top of the slide there, that's where it was found during the sediment test. The other locations are on the east. One of those happens to be, one kind of in the middle is my boat lift, one was the neighbor. And then the one closest or the bottom, closest to Highway 36, which is close to the outlet that begins the downstream flow. The water flows out underneath 36 through Viking and then on down to Montreal. So I didn't get, personally, I haven't been I talked to a couple people that pulled docks on the west shore. I haven't been over there myself. Most of the stuff was out of the water already. There's a couple people I'll try to get it to take a look at yet, but I haven't heard of anything on the west side of the lake at the moment. And again, it was the first notice that we had. The zebra mussel that was found alive in the sediment was tiny, if you will. It was about the size of a pea. The one that I happened to find on my boat lift, I would call it, was about a 1/2 inch in size.
centimeter.
Yep, and basically, I would guess it's an adult or whatever, and you can see the zebras on the shell or the stripes on the shell. I found 2 of that and the one closest to Highway 36. Now, that's one, like I said, just, the boat that comes out, I find one is that. And it seems like we're very early in the stages. I know when the sediment tester found it, they're apparently very strict reporting. He was online with DNR and our engineering right away to make them aware of the situation. DNR has acted quite quickly. I mean, this happened on a weekend is when they tested, and I had an email in my box on Monday morning or Monday afternoon that they've been found. So DNR seems to be pretty active about wanting to take a look at it. I think part of some of the pluses is that Long Lake is roughly 50 acres. 48 or 50 acres. It's a smaller body of water. Some of the tests that they've done in different areas or treatments, I think they're kind of targeting Long Lake from what I'm reading between the lines that the DNR send out. It's a small body of water. Maybe it's an easy treatment to do a lake treatment. And I think they're somewhat interested in that. I didn't see anything about what types of treatment. I haven't seen any cost estimates or anything that at this point. It would be a spring treatment. Sounds like it's a 3-month deal.
Copper.
You maintain a level of concentration in the water for like a 2 or 3 month. That's about as much as I know.
Okay,
It's probably a bit of a side note to talk about how the introduction happens, because they're already there and we have to look at doing something. But I think there's been 2 different risks analysis done that indicate that inadvertent release from a boat is highly unlikely. Because what has to happen is you have to have at least 2 villagers, for example, be released from the bilge of a boat. And they have to settle out fairly close to each other in order to reproduce. And the likelihood of that happening from village water is pretty low. A big vector for introduction is when somebody sells a dock. And they can live out of water for a good period of time, like a week or whatever. And especially a dock that has hollow pipe or beams, you can have live zebra mussels in there and they go undetected. Now you have a breeding population that's been introduced into the lake, so. And I think, I mean, like I said, I think this is probably worth a try. Because it's a small system and it doesn't appear to be, appear to be everywhere, so.
I'm kind of loose like my dog. My help itself. Yeah.
Do we need to be concerned about what's happening downstream or what may happen downstream in terms of monitoring, as well as whether or not, there was anything upstream or, the source came from, it doesn't appear, if most of the stuff's on the east side and north, like it could have been.
The dock.
We don't have any new docks in the lake. I mean, it's a small enough lake that when something's new, and if it's a new dock, if it's no. Most of the docks have transferred within the lake themselves from one property owner
Right.
to another, along with boatlifts, the same. Boatlifts that have been bought in previous, say the last 5 years.
Right.
We've gone through the sitting them dry for several weeks before they go in the water. And then they've all been power washed before they go in the water. So I would think it's not docks and not boatlifts.
So,
Well, there's been 2 assessments to show it's unlikely from boats coming in from the
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, and that's
So,
fine too.
And it only takes 1 dock. I mean, you're probably not accounting for every single one, right? So,
Mhm. There's-
I mean, there have been large boats that have been moved. There was somebody that had a large houseboat on the St. Croix. And he refused to have it inspected and they dropped it right in Detroit Lakes up in northwest Minnesota.
Yeah.
With no inspection. You get people that don't wanna
Yeah.
cooperate on what can be a serious problem and so.
well, that deepens the mystery. And of course, as Rick, you probably pointed this out already, that we're concerned about everything downstream and the potential here.
It may be worth a notification of the Lake Association. So that,
I think
obviously.
that's why Lake's here, I'm sure.
Lake knows.
Yeah.
So there is that issue about cost and how we've handled this in the past with invasive species, what the precedents we have, who we work with, because this is not a trifling amount, and while there's no guarantees, might require further treatment. So
Well, I think what we've done in the past is we've dealt with the engineering end of it. You know, the technical assistance part of it. And we certainly can, you know, and I think we've already, you know, been doing that. But to start there and then just see where things go down the road.
So you're suggesting further monitoring? Because what I've
I'm
heard so far, the
saying,
DNR is apparently getting involved, and
Yeah.
if they can do some treating, then by all means,
right,
our hats off to them.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, they sounded encouraging, reading between the lines of the emails that I've been included on. So it's somewhat in its infancy stages, as they're trying to get, my understanding is DNR wanted to run it through their process and look and ask or see about doing a full lake treatment for Long Lake. Minnesota, this lake in Minnesota would be one of the first that they're considering a full lake treatment. And I think it's like I said, it's because it's not Mille Lacs, it's a 50 acres little spot. And I think they feel that maybe they get a good bang from the buck as
Yeah,
to
yeah.
what that is. And again, I have not seen any cost estimates as to what, you know, this copper treatment or whatever it is, you know, would be. Once we get to that, and Meg's been wonderful helping on different things, and that maybe, and she's been, and Barry provide all kinds of engineering assistance and monitoring and, you know, setting up the specs for our weed treatments and those types of things. So,
yeah,
yeah, at very least, that's where, I think that's where we start. I think we're still several months away. They were talking about the earliest would be an April treatment once the ice comes out. So we've got a little time to see what the DNR would do. Or will
Right.
do.
That's encouraging, because I don't know if we should. There's an alarm that's been sounded, and,
Yeah,
you know, do we have to act fast? How does this play out? You know,
I think we have a little time, just,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
I think we give it another, you know, here this through the month or through December. I'll be in touch with April Londo is the contact at DNR and see what they're coming up with and see where their next steps have been. I haven't heard anything from her for a couple of weeks now. I've been, as I found these other sightings or mussels, I kept her in the loop between she and Meg to make sure we're plotting things and know what's happening with the lake. There are a couple of docks still out, so I mean, try to get my eyeballs on those as soon as we pull those or whatever too. And the good thing is I mean, if they're on a dock or a lift, they just die there and you can find them even if I get to the other side of the lake.
and I was hoping that maybe a localized treatment, you know, a heavy dose of this copper solution. This is big in the ornamental fish industry. I used to be involved with that. At the time, it was a parasite of some sort, turned the water blue. And it didn't kill anything except for those organisms, you know, the harmful ones. I don't know. I think at this point that we monitor to some extent. And I'm asking the managers here, and Don, you know some folks, right?
Well, yeah, I know Keegan London, Adam Bell, and I know Dave, or Doug, who was, you know, Minnesota State Grant for many, Doug Jensen as well. But I mean, you know, the requested manager's action is discuss it and then provide feedback. I say that we just kind of follow the development of this and see what the DNR comes forward with. What's written up here for this copper compound, because there's been success in other systems, it sounds like it might be worth a shot.
Oh, yeah,
So, yeah,
quite a bit. And its residual effect is good too on other organisms. So another item, as I'm unaware, can these things grow exponentially?
oh, yeah,
Okay, ouch. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's a concern.
yeah, there was, at the peak, there was 7 trillion of them in the labs. The pile of zebra mussels.
Who counted all those?
Probably an underpaid employee. No, they did transects and then they extrapolated, yeah. A lot of dive time.
From what I've heard too, your comment, they do seem to have a life cycle in different water bodies. I have
Well-
heard that. And they'll can be severe. St. Croix was one of those, and they'll move or they'll be gone.
Yeah.
And they might come back. you know,
What's common to see with invasive species, is they get into a system and they surge to a really high level. And it's like they overstretch their carrying capacity and then they come back down to a level that's not as much of a nuisance, let's say, so. But I'm not gonna deny it, I mean, they did a major number on Mille Lacs, of walleye management of Mille Lacs has been forever changed because of it, not for the good, so. I'm not being dismissive about it, I'm just saying that, you shouldn't
Yeah.
think that your world is coming crashing down, as it may not be, so.
I get a little frightened sometimes. My wife used to wake me up, there's a fox in the yard. So what do you want me to do about it? Leave him alone. Okay.
Just a question, in past on AIS treatments, if I recall, there was a plan required by DNR prior to the treatment. And that was a role we played, was to fund and provide that plan. I don't know how this might play out, but I'm just wondering, if something does move forward, maybe that's a potential role for us on this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, if this plays out and the DNR comes forward with a plan that seems solid and rational, then, we can provide some funding for it. I think reasonable thing to
That's
consider.
possible, sure. We'll see why not. But at this point, we're gonna see what they say.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna ask our engineer to monitor this within reason, see how that develops. If we need to sound the alarm bells, or if we need to sit back and watch them do their thing, and see what happens. That's on reasonable.
Needing
managers.
maybe also some additional monitoring support might be worthwhile. I don't know what you all have in terms of identification information, but maybe Meg has something that she could, send out to the
Meg
lake
Ready.
associations. So, yeah, Meg Ready.
Yeah, I guess,
And that might be useful in terms of, making that available to lakeshore owners and, if nothing else, informally, understand what the situation is a little broader.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I had the word, I put my comments out through an email, most everyone on got an email chain for the lake, of course, for the association, so that we could communicate. So and I asked everyone to, inspect your equipment that came out. And then I just sounded like April wanted them to contact the DNR directly, which don't wait for me to do it, contact them.
Right.
And then I just asked any members to please copy me on that. So at least try to have one point of contact that knows. Right now, I'm only aware of those 4 sightings. So, and then I'm of course concerned about the downstream flow in. So I think to your point, yes, Rick, it's if we can make sure that communication link your people or residents on your lake staff there know that there's a possible threat, they need to. I told my boat lift out, didn't even think to look for them 3 weeks prior to getting that, having them found in the.
we used to, have a program where we had zebra mussel plates hanging at different locations around the lake. And I can say that over the last couple of years, that has fallen off the wayside a little bit, not because it's not important, but because other things took precedence.
Yeah.
And, now obviously that program needs to be brought back up. But much like what, Rick said, our concern is going to be, being involved in any type of monitoring or early detection program. It may not be the end of the world if we get them, but it sure would be nice to not spend a ton of money trying to keep them at bay.
Yeah.
It would be better to address the issue on the smaller lake
Mhm.
and prevent it, if we can, prevent it from making it through those couple ponds into our lakes. And then downstream from there.
Mhm.
So, any way that we can be involved in any type of early monitoring, educational information that I can pass on to the association and or to the residents, we would be completely on board with and, very much like to be a part of.
I told these guys about you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. It's highly appreciated. It's important. Okay. So what shall we ask our engineer to do at this point? Rick?
I think it's continue doing what you have been doing, basically supporting, the activities and staying aware of what's going on and, and if there's some monitoring that, some monitoring support types of things, that would be all very helpful. I think a lot of it's already in the works.
Very good. Gentlemen, you concur?
Yeah, just track development of the issue and determine at what point is there gonna be a decision on the
Yeah,
control effort and then support it in any way we can.
as we'll obviously, Megan and I are in regular contact. So as we learn anything, the information will be forwarded so that we can all stay abreast of what's happening.
The radar's up.
Yep, I guess that's the main thing right now, radar's up and monitoring and trying to find out what's the next steps are gonna be. I think, like I said, within maybe 60 days, maybe DMR will have a little more information for us, maybe, but we're getting into that time frame where ice is on and now we're starting about thinking about ice coming off, so then,
Sure.
then we're, a plan will have to be made, potential for a plan to be made anyway for that period.
Mr. Engineer, have you been in contact with the DNR regarding this matter already?
Business President Managers, Meg and I, and person involved with Earth Tech QZ all met with April Orlando on November 1st and talked about various options. She was excited about the use of this chemical-based pesticide to do a whole lake treatment. However, she wasn't sure what her superiors could think about it. They had a Midwest Invasive Species Conference up in Duluth. It was last week, and so she was going to chat with her supervisors about that. And I hope to get some response from her soon on what the DNR recommends in this
Right.
situation.
Okay. You have your marching orders, sir?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so far so good.
Yep.
At least we're getting my copy of the memo. There's some good information in here if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe you have a copy of that.
Yeah, that was pretty informative. Thank you, John. Very good. I need that. Okay. Where do we on that? Attorney. Erickson permit.
I'm gonna pass out a memo. This really should be pretty simple.
We have to sign.
No, you don't have to sign anything.
What?
I just need you to approve some modifications. Whenever there's a substantive modification to one of the standard forms, just to review it. So this is a project where the work has already been completed. The Valley Branch permit requires that a maintenance agreement and an easement be recorded. The permit holder installed a tennis court. In fact, I think we drove by it a few years ago on maybe last year's tour.
Uh-oh.
So really, if you look on page 2 where it says Exhibit A, the lines that are crossed out, that's the standard language that's in there, and the permit holder asked that it be removed because it did not apply to his land. Josh Phillips took a look at it and said, yep, that's fine if those are removed. So
Our Josh?
engineer Josh.
You bet.
So he was fine with it. And then this one's a little unique because what I did is I then combined the easement language from the standard form into this maintenance agreement. So we don't have two separate recording fees. So there, the easement And the sketch and everything will be attached and include those in your packet, but I'm just asking the managers to approve the modifications. No concerns on my part.
So we're going to annually inspect the facility.
I drive by there all the time.
Okay.
I'm well aware of what John's doing there and
Beautiful.
what's going on. So
This is one
there's no issues there.
on the north end of Neil,
Hmm.
on the north end of Neil, that
Yes,
one.
yes.
He's got big piles of stuff down in that.
He
big
has
stuff.
a burn pile in the middle of his basin down there.
Is that okay to do? All right.
Rome.
It's not hard to burn with water in it, but
Yeah. Holy moly, okay. So the district approved the modifications to the maintenance agreement for permit 2022 in the form of a motion.
Yes, please.
Man,
Are there any questions?
gentlemen,
I'll make a motion to approve the modifications to permit 2022-20 that are included in the memorandum provided to us this evening
from our attorney.
from our attorney.
I will second that motion. It's been moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 It is approved. Thank you, Counselor. Very nice. Okay. Mr. Brower, Inspector.
President Marchand, managers, there was a report in your packet,
Right.
and I also have some updates for you.
This report was looking good, by the way.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Let's circle back to the Erickson tennis court and the brush pile. He's waiting for winter and he's gonna burn that brush pile. You know, he gave him a place to do it on his property, so it's not gonna impact anything from a water or stormwater standpoint. So I just want to make that point, that it's probably the best thing that he could do. Oakdale Apartments, finally this week, the landscaping's in place. They have the yards are all sodded. The irrigation system is installed in the yards. Of course, I don't know if the pump is installed. Kind of circles back, this is a reuse system. So it'll be like the other facilities we've had already this year where we need proof of performance. Do we have a pump installed? Do we have, how much volume are we using? So that's not gonna happen this year, but at least the site is stabilized for winter and should be fine.
Yeah, they don't have any water storage.
They do have water
They
storage
do?
under the parking lot, yes.
Okay.
So we'll just need to confirm that everything's in place come next year, that everything's working. They'll have to provide documentation that they're using the appropriate amount of water, like we have had in, what, 3 other sites or 2 other sites. So it's something we've been learning about, obviously, since this is more of a new system for us.
Yep.
Bridgewater Village, that is up and running. If you've been near Lake Elmo, they are really moving dirt now. The excavation process is rolling. They strip topsoil and
They're right up to the cemetery. I mean,
they're right up. In fact, they couldn't start till they removed some trees along the cemetery. Which I'm not sure why they couldn't work around those trees, but not for me to say, but they're off and running and there's limited access on the road. That you really can't drive through the back side of that right now unless you're doing construction, but yeah, they're working on it. So, and then we just approved the bank building permit tonight. So that's within that site. So they have a permit within our permitted development. So that's something I'll be waiting to hear if there's a pre-con meeting for that.
that's a 34,000 square feet. Approximately, yes, okay.
The managers remember the Roars apartment complex, where we had the infiltration basin in Oakdale, was on our tour.
Yeah.
They went in here a couple of weeks, 10 days ago, and they skimmed the top. They pumped it dry, or they pumped it down. They didn't pump it dry, pumped it down. They removed the top few inches of soil in hopes of removing any sediment. And then seeing if that worked. If not, where do we go from there? I've been monitoring it after our recent rain. It is not working. So I've had a discussion actually via email today. They are going back to their engineering firm to talk about solutions, talk to their geotech people to see what they might come up with. There's supposed to be, there is sand in there. It shows up in the soil borings, but obviously the water isn't getting to it, so they'll have to come up with a solution for that.
We have a surety on that?
Yes, we do. Yes, sir. It has not been reduced. Nothing's been changed, touched on it. The rest of the site is done, stable. Vegetation's coming up where on the back side of it, there's a city park that's tied in to this area. And that's all the grass is coming up in there. So from that standpoint, we're good, but they have more work to do. Oak Green Avenue was talking to John here today, Rock. They're pretty much, the road is open both ways, everything's stabilized. And they were cleaning out some culverts today, but they're really done out there. I think a few things they have to pick up. They've even cleaned up their staging area. They had a yard they were using and they cleaned that all up and got that pretty well cleared up. So that's in good shape.
They beautified, your property, didn't they? Someone.
How'd they do that?
I'll
They put that bigger.
The steep driveway. They did give me a whole bunch of rocks, so I did some landscaping with the rocks that he
So
dropped
you
off.
left them.
And they're donating more water to cross his
Yeah.
property. So
Yeah, we'll see.
he has free storm water.
I saw that.
My culvert will be well flushed.
It will be, yes.
The guardrails. Are they gonna put any more, that would be just north of 30th?
I don't know. I think
That's,
they're
they have,
they're done.
the blankets laid out.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know if it's, that'd be too steep.
I think they're done out there.
Okay,
Woodbury Car Wash, that is up and running. And in fact, I was just there again today and, that butts up right to a wetland. There's some underground chambers for water storage on that site. They will not be installing those till spring. So they're basically focused on infrastructure so they can put up buildings, footings and buildings and such, but the chambers won't come till next year. The St. Croix Montessori School, and that was part of the grant here. I talked to their project super because they have some stabilization to do on the site that they're working on. They didn't want to seed too early because they didn't want it to come up right now. But they have material staged there. It was out there. They'll plan to put down straw mulch over the seed. They wanted to wait to make sure nothing would come up. They wanted to do it and seed it. So
that's on the north side going down the hill or?
on Neal,
Yeah.
on the other side of 94 going north, yeah, on the right side. So they added on to the back side of the building. They
Exactly.
added a whole new parking lot in front.
Right.
And then there's a basin on the I-94 side. There's a basin off of the parking lot.
That's not permeable by chance, is it? That, the parking lot in front?
No, that's impervious. That's all impervious. And then in the back, they put in a series of, that's the big facility, their septic is a series of mounds. And that's gonna be part of that DNR educational component. That was part of the grant, I believe. And then Silver Lake Outlet, I was stopped by there again today. It needed to be cleaned out, but really the water's not really going through there. There's maybe a trickle if there's a wave or something.
Still nice and dry.
So yeah, so it's pretty well probably done for the year. And that's what I have. If there's any questions.
It was beautiful, sir. Gentlemen, anything? Okay, thank you, Mr. Inspector. Are your girls all put away?
They are, they're doing well.
Good.
The harvest wasn't as big as I had hoped this year, but they're healthy. Hopefully next year is the big year.
Good.
So, yeah,
Looking forward to it.
yeah.
Keep hearing more and more things about the wonderful uses of honey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Let's move on. Managers, the budget workshop with the Washington County Board of Commissioners. I attended, John attended, Manager Armstrong attended. I think he's already in Vietnam unless he's on a plane heading there. I know it's a long ride. He attended, of course, and it went well. I can speak for us. And we were complimented about how the way we're handling things. I think I got teased a little bit. Yeah, I didn't know what tight as birch bark meant, but apparently that's a compliment, you know. And if we are tight as birch bark, it's because we're trying to be careful with taxpayer monies, you know, that's what this is about. But it went well. So, all smiles, all smiles. No complaints that I was aware of. So that's all I have on that. All squared away. The annual conference. Okay, let's get into this. Gentlemen, can we make Don a delegate right now? Or? Would say Vice President?
Well, kind of an easy choice, I guess. Yeah,
You
some
have
of,
to go.
some of them, well, she just asked me to chair the resolutions review session, which is like, well, maybe I should schedule a root canal instead. Yeah, so anyways, I'm happy to be a delegate.
Thank you. Then we need an alternate.
So you need one delegate, a second delegate, and a third to be the alternate.
Yeah, we need 44 delegates to establish a quorum, I think.
So I'm sorry, I just want to confirm, Don, you don't have any concerns of a conflict of interest with being a delegate and chairing and being on the Minnesota Watershed Board?
That's a good question, but I don't,
As long as you don't see one, that's fine. I just want to raise the
Right.
question.
I certainly don't see one. I don't, as far as the resolutions go, I see myself as a facilitator to get through the approval process. I'm not gonna, unless there's something really dumb, I'll speak against it. Otherwise, it's just
Yeah.
Okay.
helping us get through the process of approving or disapproving resolution. So, yeah, that's,
And legal staff, attend at your discretion.
I'm gonna trust Don's assessment.
Okay. All right, very good. So, Mr. Brock, what do you think? You're on that?
I've never served as a delegate, but so I would.
Sure.
So,
Bill's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
Is he gonna be back in time?
He's
That's really happening. That's a brilliant choice.
I mean, I'll be there. I'm certainly willing as long as people are okay with a novice that doesn't know what he's doing. But
I don't
Just a matter of,
or he'd be the alternate and have more experience,
Whole lot of finger pointing.
Either way, I'm fine.
Thank you, sir.
Whatever, in whatever way I need to serve, I will serve.
And this is, and we, just because I've never been there, I just have one curiosity. So if there's a blizzard or something, do we get lost between the buildings or is that all, so you don't know?
I've never been there either. So.
Okay, okay.
Everything is very close.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you can see from building to building.
Okay.
I was there in 2014 for my very first governor's fishing opener, and it was I think it was very comfortable. It'll be as good or better than Arrowwood, I think.
Good, because when I went to see you in Arrowwood, I almost walked into a frozen
Yeah,
pond and I was going, where am I? And, yeah.
I've been there in January and there were issues up there, so.
Okay. Need someone, yeah, between the buildings. My glass is fogged up. Yeah, okay. All right, very good. So, Mr. Engineer, Mr. Brower's gonna be there,
Yes.
and, we assume Mr. Armstrong, Mr. Geltman, myself, Mr. Brock, Mr. Pereira.
So,
You're not
Manager,
done with
do I have the dates correct on your
You do,
arrival and departure?
we don't need to arrive on
Yes.
Tuesday, do we? We don't have to attend that. or-
You don't have
You
to,
don't
there
have
is,
to, but
there
there's
is
a
a
good-
legislative session being held with our new lobbying firm. And we're encouraging people to attend. There's a lot of people that aren't aware of the legislative process and the fact that we don't hire a lobbying firm to lobby for everybody for every problem. That it's not feasible to do. We establish a legislative agenda of a few key things and we go after it. So, yeah. But I don't know, it'd be nice if we're trying to promote attendance at that on Tuesday, but it's not mission critical, so.
I've got a conflict on Tuesday, so I won't.
Yeah, that's, I'm trying to get on mine, but I don't think that's gonna happen. At least I was able to.
I got a call with Jan at 9 tomorrow, a legislative thing, just to get ready for it, so.
Okay, with Miss Jan. I asked her if she was from the Voight family that made the rubber balls. She said, I wish. Okay,
So one question I have is,
yes,
is anybody interested in carpooling, that's where we're going at the same time, you know? And I would be, if anybody's open to that, rather than everybody driving their own vehicle, if we're going at the same time and returning at the same time.
what we could do regarding that is, as we get closer to the date, we can check each other's schedules and see if that works.
Sure.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I just want to throw it out. So.
No, it's nice.
I've got a work meeting on Tuesday morning up in North Oaks, and I'm probably heading up after that, I think.
Yeah. And would we be going in your car by chance?
Good.
I got a big old pillow.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So, Mr. President, just to summarize, the reservation timeframes that I have listed in the memo are correct.
Yes, sir.
The delegate number 1 will be Don. Delegate number 2 will be John. And the alternate will be Rick.
Thank you, Rick. You're awesome.
sure.
Or do you want to make Bill something since he's not here? today?
Bill. That's right.
That's fine. I can.
Okay.
So Rick,
And then-
you just drive John up there to make sure he's there when you're all set.
And so I have made the hotel reservations, but I have not registered each manager. So I'll do that tomorrow. Prices go up on Saturday, so I'll register each manager.
Great.
So you don't have to register.
Thank you, John. That's wonderful.
Did I send that question to you by email?
Was that?
Did I send that question to you by
Yes.
email
Yep.
earlier this week? Okay.
And gotta ask, so they have dining facilities,
I believe they do, and so tradition is that the first night that the Valley Ranch group meet for dinner together. I guess I think that that's feasible at this location, but I don't know for certain.
And it was the night of the trade show. So that's the night I'm.
Gotta be the sport.
Well, there you go then. Wednesday night.
So the first full night, not the two, so it'd be Wednesday night.
oh, they'll have the trade shows. Oh, good, okay. Hopefully they have big rooms like the Arrowwood. Again, I don't know. Just asking, okay.
And then I guess also, there's 2 packets included. According to Jan, they will not be printed and available at the conference, so please bring what I included in the packet.
Okay. Sure. That's simple enough. Okay, so we're squared away with that. Thank you.
Do you wanna?
Yes,
In the
ma'am.
past, you voted on appointing the delegates. Right, there wasn't a vote, a motion and second.
Oh, well, I would like to make a motion to have Vice President Pereira as a delegate. Mr. Brock as a delegate. And, Mr. Geldman as a delegate,
Alternate.
as an alternate, I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
Second,
So moved and seconded.
aye.
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 Beautiful. That's approved. Okay. I'm glad we got through that one. Now. Right. The December 12th and January 9th meetings, will, everybody be able to attend them? We'll have everybody.
Yes.
Okay. We can talk about more things. We'll see how that agenda goes.
December one's usually pretty full.
Yeah. That's right. So, and then, one more thing. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for visiting us. Hey, was it okay?
Yeah.
We're okay?
That was-
Really?
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is. I'll come back.
Thank you. Please do.